Over the last probably 5 years or so, as a sixth grade team, we've been incorporating all of the different content areas into learning experiences that are cross-disciplinary. And this particular year, it started out with our science teacher sharing with us an idea that she had around incorporating her science content into Imu, and that catapulted into just a growing unit where all of us were able to incorporate our content areas into that collaborative learning.
One of the units that is important in sixth grade science has to do with thermal energy. And it just is a really seamless sort of connection between an imu and thermal energy. I wanted the Haumana to have an experience that they would always be able to connect these ideas around thermal energy to, so that it wasn't just something they talked about in sixth grade and it disappeared from their minds, but it was something that they'll be able to connect to their day-to-day lives and actually remember these ideas and remember this content in a way that it becomes more a part of how they think about the world as opposed to just something they did one time at school.
The Imu was where it started, and the science content. And then we moved up to look at what might be a general theme that we could all enter in at. And we decided to look at a Hōʻike Imu, where the focus would be on gathering and celebrating learning.
Hearing science was going to go through the angle of thermal energy. There's really thermal energy throughout the whole mo'olelo of Maui. And in the short amount of time that we had, I had to modify that to all of these keiki, and the idea came to use kala'au. Within the mo'olelo, you have the mana'o of Aunaki and Aulima, the two la'au that create the fire, and it almost just made perfect sense to revamp the hula using kala'au. For me, one desired outcome was to make sure that there was a language component that they could understand, and then also to really enjoy and be able to learn and practice hula as well.
From an English language arts perspective, we worked on the speaking and listening part of our Hōʻike. The kids had to write intro speeches for each of the different transitions that happened. With speaking and listening, we looked at how do we greet people? How do we connect with people as they enter into our space? Foundational kinds of skills, eye contact, not just your words, but your eyes say aloha. That's how English language arts entered into it.
My favorite part was the whole Ike, when it all came together.
Watching them get up in front of their families and perform their mele and perform a hula and serve the food that they had grown and prepared.
That was probably the most powerful, to see the keiki have such a huge experience in one day. In the morning that they helped to start and light the imu, and we continued to prep for the ohana in the day, and at the end of the day took the food out and they even served their ohana. It was very thoughtful.
And they were so proud, and they should have been proud. Like, they did such a fantastic job. I did not play much of a role that night. I watched the Haumana do their thing, and that was so rewarding, because that's the whole point, is to empower them to be able to be the ones who are leading.
When I think about connecting to E Ola, E Ola to me just means to live. Like, how do you live out this Ike Hawaii, Ike Kupuna? And
E Ola learner outcomes didn't even need to be outrightly spoken. If you know them, you could just identify them throughout the whole event.
And to me, that really just lends itself to E Ola, meaning to like literally live this Ike in real life.
There's a big difference between talking about things and reading about things and actually experiencing things. More people can actually experience the culture as opposed to just reading about the culture or hearing about the culture, the better they'll be able to figure out how to connect to that authentically.
A lot of our E Ola learner outcomes don't show evidence in just a product, but it's a process. So having this unit come to fruition and watching the kids move through their kuleana to accomplish a common goal and a common task, to serve and aloha other people, that fills my cup and my heart. This is what learning is, when you can step away and watch Haumana step into the kuleana, and they did it.
Doing these kinds of projects is what makes teaching really fun and engaging. I like the creativity of trying to figure out how to make things connect authentically.
To encourage anybody, just kamaʻilio, wala'au, talk story. First, build pilina, and once you start bouncing ideas off of each other, that's when things get rolling.
It's a really rewarding experience for the haumana and for Kumu. It's very sort of inspiring, and it makes you feel excited about your career, and it makes you feel excited about how you're able to influence your haumana in positive ways.
And as we teach kids those different E Ola learner outcomes, they too can identify it in who they are and who they can be as contributors to their lahui.